people. I'm sorry, not
4
4.
million.
4 billion people are watching
Trillion.
this, right? Trillion.
Ah,
I
oh,
love
goodness.
we get to do this every day. So for the folks that are actually, so what I did, I was telling you about this before. We're gonna go live because so many people are always asking me, how in God's earth did you get so good at the AI and learning how to be a prompt engineer and stacking, being a stack engineer as well. And one of the things that I was kind of reluctant to tell him about was you. No, but I loved it because you and I kind of rose up through all this stuff so fast. So I wanted to just share with our audience a lot of the amazing things that we've been doing. And for those of you guys that are joining, oh, hello. We got a few people popping in live here, which is nice. One of the things that's
Hello.
been amazing is I got to share so many experiences with you prior to us doing this. And so then I was like, Brad, have you been checking out AI? And then that turned into like a whole bromance where we were like literally on calls with each other 3, 4 times a day, looking at all these new tools. So I figured what better thing to do than to share what we are always doing. And for those of you guys that don't know, Brad started a company called Accelerated Intelligence, maybe like 6 months ago or something. And
A little more than that, probably back in April or May, but
April or May.
yep.
Well, this is going to be behind the curtain. So anyone that wants to learn the fast track on, some of the tools, and we don't like to say AI because it's getting burnt out, but I would say that this is accelerated intelligence and how to accelerate your intelligence using AI.
Yeah, it's funny. People are like, well, why'd you call the company Accelerated Intelligence? And I was thinking, in what scenario is the word artificial ever used as a positive? Artificial sweetener. You've got artificial
Yeah.
turf. You've got that person's so artificial, right? It's technically a negative connotation, and yet we're supposed to embrace artificial intelligence with open arms as like, oh, this is the next great
Right.
thing. But I also look at it as, you know, it's a tool. I mean, it's a tool. Artificial intelligence, it's a tool. It's not an outcome.
Mm-mm.
Accelerated intelligence is an outcome, and that's why, like, when you go to like acceleratedintelligence.ai, our website, it's accelerated intelligence, which is the seed for accelerated productivity and creativity and revenue and all of that. So I try to, we're both entrepreneurs, and I try to look at it from a more holistic view. We're not just looking to use artificial intelligence, a tool. We want to
Right.
get something out of it. How do we get out of it? Well, anyway, that's the philosophical reason behind the moniker.
Well, it makes sense because everyone is using AI in the wrong connotation. So let's jump into it. Let's show some of the stuff that we've been finding. I think just to give you guys some background too, we ended up doing a really fun project together. We've done a few, and big shout out to Mr. Mike Koenig out there. If you watch this, you should, because we're going to stroke your ego. He's one of our other business partners that we are so blessed to have in our sphere. He also has been running very fast with this whole space, and Brad and I have had some fun working with him and his team, and then we realized really quickly that we had a lot of little hinges between all three of us. But specifically, Brad
Yeah.
and I did a project with Sandestin Resort where we put in, and little hinges is kind of the example I give when we have something that's small and it swings a big door, right? A little hinge will swing the big door. We put in all these little hinges for Sandestin, which is a destination resort in Florida. And they have, God, I don't know how many departments, 20 or 30 different departments, thousands of employees. And Brad and I went in there and strategically put AI systems and software and, deployed a bunch of different concepts and ideas for them that literally moved the needle in every single department for them. In fact, remember when they came back to the Zoom call the next time? There's
Yeah.
36 people using AI and no one would turn their damn cameras on. So we almost did it too well. So
Yeah,
I wanted
that's
to.
true. It went from being a raise your hand if you've ever even used it, and that was maybe about 20% of the room had even logged on to ChatGPT, and this was what, September, to now it's like an 80 to 90% adoption rate across all the departments that
Yeah.
we've seen. So it's part of it is just really building this culture of innovation inside a company so that the people can be empowered to innovate on their own jobs and get things done faster, quicker, and better.
Totally. And I have you to blame for that.
That's right. Us. One of my
Us.
favorite. One of my favorite takeaways from that corporate workshop we did was when I can't remember if she was in the HR department, but she said she was asking for some kind of a thing she has to do with spreadsheets and analyze certain numbers, and it she's like, well, how might I do this? And we figured it out for her. It took about 5 minutes to figure it out. And she looked up and she said, you don't understand. What you just did normally takes me a full week of work to do every single month. She goes, you may have saved me 12 weeks a year,
12
like
weeks.
in 5 minutes.
3 months of work. Yeah, in
Yeah,
five
three
minutes.
months of productivity back. And that, I mean, that just kind of shows what's possible. And I think that one of the by now, most of the people who are watching this have probably used AI. A lot of people are using ChatGPT every single day to some degree. The problem is understanding how to use it really well and to get really really uh, good work out of it because AI is kind of it's a skills amplifier. I heard somebody else talk about this. It's not a skills democratizer, right? So it's not going to make everybody super skilled in stuff. If you suck, you're still going to suck with AI. You actually might suck worse because you're going to get AI to do all the work. You're not going to realize and recognize what quality work is. But if you do have some degree of expertise, if you're a good copywriter, if you're a good creative, a good marketer, a good storyteller, good strategist, or something like this, and then you utilize the right frameworks and mindsets, you're going to get so much better. I think the big risk we have is that the haves and the have-nots, if you would, and I'm not just talking about money, are going to get wider and wider. So some people utilizing it to augment them are going to be amazing. Everybody else is going to use it as a crutch, and they're going to get awful or worse.
Oh, that's such a
But
good
that
point. Hmm.
right, that means that there's a tremendous opportunity for those who just start to embrace it and use it for what it can do, and actually step on the gas. So that's why we're here to
I
accelerate.
know, and I think to really echo what you said, one of the reasons you're so good with this tool and why some of like our copywriting friends and people that are insanely good marketers are so good with this is because they are using this as a tool, right? They're putting this on top of their experience. They're not pretending they're somebody they're not.
Yeah,
And I fell into
exactly.
that trap before. I was like, oh my god, I can do all these things, and I realized really fast I was perpetuating and amplifying a bunch of bullshit. So thank you
Uh-huh.
for bringing light to the truth around that, right? And so that's what's great. This is going to be the great amplifier. It's almost like money. It's like it'll amplify your faults and it'll amplify your strengths when you don't do this right.
Absolutely.
That's so cool. Well, let's use a few of the things and like just kind of lead us through. I know I get behind the scenes
Yeah.
all the time. What do you think is one of the most impressive tools and things that you've been showing people right now? You can start at the basics and move up because everyone in this little audience that's watching, and hello guys, I see you, is some of them are a little advanced, but most of them are only just using ChatGPT every day, and most of
Yeah.
them don't have the paid version yet.
And ChatGPT is amazing. First of all, get the paid version. I mean, get the paid version. It's $20 a month. I say this to everybody. It's the most powerful software, really, that has ever been in the hands of humans in general, like to the general public.
Yeah,
It's $20. I remember when they came out with it for free for a while. I was like, man, I got so addicted to the free version. It was if they come out asking for $500 a month, I'm going to be forced to pay it because it's so good. But
it was
anyway,
so
you
good.
get so much. Yeah, you get so much more out of the paid version. Um, the paid, and let's just start with ChatGPT, right? So most people will go in and they'll just say, ChatGPT, do this for me, and it will give them a result. And most of the time, I've seen, and I know this because I work with clients all the time. They go, well, I tried it, I didn't get anything that good out of it, so I just went back to doing it normally. And they forget to utilize a good prompt structure. I'm going to show you my favorite one.
Mhm.
And they forget a couple of really important mindsets. So before I show the other kind of like razzle dazzle workflows and tools, I'm going to show like because if you just use ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini or Perplexity, all these other tools that do pretty much the same thing, but you do them right, your output's going to get 10 times better. So should I go ahead and try to share screen here?
Yeah.
All right, let's do this. I am going to share my screen here. I'm going to go into Chat GPT. Where are you? There you are. Can you see my screen, Sam?
Yep, I can see. I'm gonna
Sam,
put it up here right now. Boom.
I'm going to blow it up. All right. So
Blow it up, Brad. Blow it up.
a basic prompt is like, hey, will you write a social media post for me, or will you do whatever? So this is a prompt. I call it a prompt perfecting prompt. And in here, I don't know how well they can see this, but this is a prompt maker, right? So Brent Moreno, our colleague, came up with this, and I love it, where it says this is the prompt. Context. You are a prompt engineer who can turn any request into a well-defined prompt that is structured with, this is how you build a prompt: context, goal, criteria, input request, and format. Context, goal, criteria, input request, and format. Every prompt should include that. Do you understand? And it says yes. So if I click yes, what this is going to do is now ask me, okay, great. What do you want to do? And then I'll provide you with the structured prompt that includes this. So what using something like this does is it removes the necessity for you to be an expert at prompting. All you have to do is ask ChatGPT to teach you how to be a prompter. So I might say, give me a task, something you would love ChatGPT to do, Sammy.
Help me create a robust marketing strategy for our podcast called Healthy Profits Podcast.
I want to create a marketing strategy for a podcast called, what is it? Healthy Profits?
Healthy Profits Podcast. Mm-hmm.
Podcast. Okay, so now most people would just use this as the prompt, but when I place this after the prompt I just entered, what it's going to do is build a better prompt, and then we'll execute it. All right. So on Instagram, if you're watching this, it's going to be kind of small. It's going to be hard to see. But what you're seeing here is now it's building the prompt. It'll say context, and it'll talk about it. Then it'll say goal, and it'll talk about this. It'll say criteria. It should be innovative and tailored, leverage both digital and traditional marketing. The plan must have actionable steps, and it wants metrics. And then it's going to ask me, okay, it's asking me for more information. Give me a detailed description of the audience, any existing marketing assets you already have, what current platforms, and any budget constraints. So it's asking you for more details, and then it's giving the format by which it should come out of, like executive summary, target audience analysis, marketing channels, implementation timeline, budget overview. So this, what you're seeing, I'm going to highlight it. This is a nearly perfect prompt, and look how long it is. 99% of people are not going to, unless you're practicing this a lot, are not going to input this on their own accord. But you don't have to if you type in this prompt perfecting prompt. And if you DM me or Sammy here, we'll make sure you get this. But
it is the prompt to rule them all. It's a really good one.
So now instead of giving it all the input request, I'm going to say make up hypothetical information for the input request and run the prompt. So if I don't feel like typing it in, I'm just going to say, just make it up and give me what I need. Right. So now it's coming up with the input request. By the way, it's doing a really good job at figuring out.
It does a pretty damn good job, even when you're just trying to figure it out. It's kind of
so the point of this whole demo right here is simply, you don't have to know everything. Let it teach you how to do it. And obviously I will forward this to you when it's done, because it might be helpful for you, Sammy.
Oh, thank you.
So here's the other two mindsets that form the foundation of the training that I do, which is that, one, ChatGPT or AI, it's your mentor and your assistant, right? Teach me and then do it. And then the third, the little nuance of that is, now critique it and make it better. Now be the mentor again, and now be the assistant. And you just go over and over. So on this, I might say, the next thing I might say is, good, but how could you make this even better? Right? So if I go back to this mentor, assistant, critic, the first thing I did is I used it as a mentor. And I said, teach me how to write the perfect prompt for this. And then it taught me. And then I said, execute the prompt. Now it's my assistant, so it's actually writing the thing. And now it's a mentor again. How would you make it better? And it's like, oh, well, here's what I would do to enhance this. Let's add depth. Let's add this, this, this. So never think that any AI is giving you its best work on the first draft. But if you understand that and you continuously do it, then you come to this other mental framework that I've got, which is I'm just going off sharing here for a second so people can see my face. The other framework, mentor and assistant, is you're the Hollywood director and it's your actor. So it's your job to do to set the scene and the vision for what you want to get. And then you say action. And then let's say ChatGPT comes back with an output and it's not what you wanted. You say cut, and then you go back, you walk over to the actor and you say, look, let me give you some more direction. Here's more backstory. I need more emotion out of you. I need to feel it. I need a little bit of comedic relief. I need you to slow down, speed up, expand on this, or make it shorter. And then you got it. And it says, yes. Okay, action. And then it gives you something. And it still might not be what you want. You go cut and do it again. Hollywood directors may do 100 scenes, 100 takes to get this scene just right. And then they got it, like, boom, that's exactly it. There's no different when you're using prompts.
Yeah.
In many cases, I call it prompt sculpting. It's kind of like an art, right? You can engineer a prompt, which is the first thing, like do it well structured. But to me, prompt sculpting is when you're trying to get creative work out of it. Like, no, that's not what I want. Let me add a little here. Let me remove a little here. Let me do a little this. Let me start over. Let me fire this actor and get somebody new. That also happens in Hollywood. So, Sammy, those two mindsets right there of mentor, assistant, and Hollywood director, I think will get people 80% of the way they need to be to really get some good results out of this.
Totally. Yeah, I had to do the Hollywood director one a bunch of different times. I think in that prompt that you put in there too, that Brent made is so crucial too. Like, and the example of that was so good. What else do you think is the more advanced thing that you've learned lately too that has really upgraded your ability to kind of teach this to people? Because one of the things you're so good at is explaining how all these things work together. Do you have like a central platform right now that you've been going to that kind of like right now I use like Prompt Perfect to do a few different things. Do you have any go-to tools outside of Chat GPT that you're just loving using in tandem with Chat?
Not for like say constructing prompts. I use prompts so often, and then I use that little hack that I don't necessarily go to those other sites for that. I mean, I use different tools for different things. So for things like brainstorming, rapidly learning, brainstorming, strategizing, writing, creative writing. By the way, Claude has gotten, to me, Claude's outputs have just recently leapfrogged ChatGPT's outputs, Claude.ai.
Oh, yeah.
But that's just recent. So I'm starting to utilize that for copying, for copywriting and creative writing.
Can you put a couple samples up later?
Yeah.
From Claude?
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah. And the some of the things I'm doing in there are really cool. Actually, let me showcase.
I have heard a lot of people saying Claude is really just taking leaps and bounds right now over Chat. You can put more content in there. It seems a little bit faster in some cases. I don't know how that is.
Yeah, like one of the things I love doing, there's another prompt that I use to, actually this is a good dovetail into this. It's the biggest request we get is, can you make it write like me? I can get it to write stuff, but it doesn't quite sound like me. It's not there yet, right? So one of the things I do is I've got a text analysis prompt that I'll utilize. And let's just go here. I am going to share screen. And this is a fun one. This gets you pretty far. Okay, so I'm going to share the screen here. All right, you should see my Claude. I am going to go over to medium.com and I'm going to find one of the stories that I just recently wrote. Can you see my Medium?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So, by the way, I'll actually use this. This is an article about AI, but I'll explain what this is about because I think, and then I'll get to the style analysis. But a lot of people have heard this before, right? In the service business, it's called the service trilemma. You know, you can have it good, cheap, or fast, but you can only pick two, right? If it's good and cheap, it's not going to be fast. If it's fast and it's really good, it's not going to be cheap. And if it's cheap and fast, well, it's not going to be any good. And up until now, this is about as true as the law of gravity, right? However, I believe that AI can solve this service trilemma, and you can
Mm-hmm.
get it fast, cheap, and good. So we already know that AI is really fast. And as I mentioned, like ChatGPT alone is $20 a month, and even the free version is really actually decent. So it's fast and it's cheap. But that's the biggest problem, is it any good? And it can only be good when you're using things like what I just told you, right? The Mac model, which is mentor, assistant, and critic, and the Hollywood director, right? So I'm just kind of revisiting this. So if you get really good at these, you can be good, fast, and cheap. And now for what I'm going to do here is I'm going to create a style guide. So I'm going to come down here. I'm going to highlight the whole thing, and I'm just going to copy that. Then I'm going to drop it into Claude or ChatGPT, and I'm going to paste it. It goes right in here. And then I have got a style guide prompt that I just have it in my hotkeys. I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'm going to just give you the basic overview, but it's saying your task is to convert the provided text into an elaborate style guide. Pay attention to things like the voice and tone, the mood, the sentence structure, the transition style, the rhythm, the pacing of this. I'm particularly interested in the stylistic nuances that set this writing apart. So I'm taking my content, I'm putting a prompt in there to analyze it, and now it's going to create a style guide for me. And you can see it says, all right, the voice and tone, it's casual and conversational. It's friendly, encouraging, and even motivational at times, urging the reader to take action. Here's the mood. Here's the sentence structure. Here's the transition style. Right now, this is insanely useful if I wanted to get it to write like me and not just like ChatGPT. The next thing I can do is if there's other nuances that I say, I may want to say, all right, use a little bit of comedic relief in everything you're writing. Use one of the things, Sammy, that I'll do is I'll say, add in a few grammatical errors and maybe some what is it, incomplete sentences, because I don't want it to sound like AI is writing it, right? So I
Right.
actually make it a little more human by adding errors. So I'm not going to do that in here. What I would just do is now it has my style. And if I wanted to write about a certain topic, well, I mean, the AI knows a lot about topics, but I could now say in this exact style, write a blog post, 200 words. I'm keeping it short. Give me a topic, Samuel.
200 words about the future
How the future of podcasting.
future of podcasting. Exactly. You
So
guys,
now
you guys don't understand. I really only do this just to get free tips on how to scale our other company every time.
yeah. So now what it is doing is it is talking ideally in the same style that I wrote, right?
Mm-hmm.
Podcasting has exploded in popularity over the past decade, but what does the future hold for this booming medium? Well, as a veteran, I've seen firsthand, etc. So this, and I can already tell you that this is a really good article of one that it looks similar to how I would write. So backing up, all I did is I used this style guide prompt that I've got, and I've added my own what do you call it? My own writing, and I've now created a new style guide. Now I'm working with another client right now, and we're doing this in two different ways, which
Whoa.
is am I back? I just stopped sharing.
Yeah, you're back.
Cool. So what we did with him is, he's got promotional copy, and then he's got content copy, and we have style guides for two different style guides for two different types. And then on me, I've got one for promotional copywriting, one for content, one for social media, like
Mm,
profound and serious social media stuff. I've got another one for like funny social media
that's so
things,
great.
right? By the way, I'm going to show you one of the tools that I use for this is called the Oasis.
Oh, that
Ooh,
was the one I couldn't remember the other day. The Oasis. I was like, Brad,
yeah.
what's
So let
that
me show
thing
you the way.
called? Hmm.
Yeah, so let me show you the way the Oasis works, and I'll show you something I just did, and this is super cool. You guys will be the first ones to see this outside of a presentation tomorrow.
Dude, do
All
it.
right, cool. So here's what's awesome about the Oasis. So they've got a great mobile app, and they've got this desktop app. Do you see the desktop?
Yep.
Cool. I didn't know what I was sharing. So now think of this as it's just an audio recorder. I can just push the button and I can talk into it and I can do stream of consciousness of what do I want to say. At the same time, I can also write something, right? I can write it or I can upload it. But I use this if I may have an idea and I just kind of want to you know, verbally rattle on. So I can do that here. Now this doesn't always work if I'm on, like if I'm doing two things are using my microphone, but I'm going to try it out. Before I do that, let me show you where the magic is. So you see up here, there is a bunch of rewrite prompts. So down here, I can talk about something and have it explain like I'm five, do a Twitter thread, an elevator pitch, a blog post, a New York Times article, a TED talk, you name it. So I can just come up with a concept and then have it rewrite it. But I can also have these custom rewrite formulas to say, create a serious post, create this, create a summary. So you talk one thing into here, and now it creates multiple types that you can use. So some of the ones I've done recently is I have got this client. She teaches bioidentical hormone replacement therapy for women. So I did one here, if you can see it. So instead of me just talking into this, I'm just kind of doing this. So this is a 30-second transcript where it just says, okay, I'm a doctor who treats women who are going through menopause, et cetera. And their goal is to get hormonally optimized so they feel good, act good, and they don't have mood swings. So now what it did is I actually created this custom prompt to say, take who I am and what do I do, and then create a list of 10 frequently asked questions, and then 10 questions that prospects should be asking but aren't. Now, this can be a great lead magnet. Okay, so does that make sense, Sammy?
Yeah, that's amazing.
So
People are
I
like,
just
what is that platform? It's called the Oasis,
yep,
guys.
yep. And now I can come up here and rewrite it, and I can say, now turn this into a blog post. So because I clicked blog post, it's going to rewrite it right now, or it should. If this doesn't mess me up, let me just see, rewrite. Oh wait, I have to click done. I'm going to do that, and I'm going to do a explain like I'm five. When I click done, okay, now it's starting to rewrite this. So explain like I'm five. Like, hey, what do you do? Well, here's in five, in 5-year-old language. Here's what it is, or here's a blog post. Bing, 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 bing. Right. And what else do you want it to write? So this is just a great way to create all types of content from stream of consciousness.
So crazy. I remember when
And
I
by the
first
way,
saw that, I was like, oh boy.
and by the way, here's one of the ways I did this. So I just built this prompt yesterday. Is I said, take the transcript and infer who the audience is, what the offer is, and the benefits it brings, and then come up with 10 frequently asked questions that the prospect probably asks before they make a decision, and then come up with 10 questions that they should be asking, but they don't know well enough to ask well. Okay. So now,
Okay, I'm gonna pause you right there too, and then hold that thought because you're gonna tell us what's next. But this is an example of what it means when you have 20 years of marketing experience to create those types of prompts. Because that is not a normal prompt to just think of, Brad. Just want to give you a big shout out there. Okay, go
thank you.
back, go
Thank you.
back, and tell it. Keep sharing.
All right. Okay. So let's keep sharing the screen. Tell me when you see me.
Got
All
you.
right. So now, yeah. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you another example. AI productivity paradox in the workforce. So the other day I was just thinking about a concept. And if you see down at the bottom of the screen, I talked for 5.5 minutes about a concept that I wanted to create an article about. And so here's the transcript of what it is. So the first thing it says is it's just my rambling. And the by the way, the concept behind this was the fact that as employers and business owners, this is great because your staff can get things done faster. But the paradox for employees is that if I'm an employee and I'm able to get my work done 3 times quicker, if if I'm if I know that the minute I do that, the boss is just going to give me more work,
Mm-hmm.
then there's this paradox. Like I don't necessarily want to use it because I'm just going to have to do more stuff and it's just going to move quicker. It's not like I get to free up my time and get it back for other pursuits. So I was like, there's this paradox. So anyway, that's the whole article I'm writing. But this is the audio, and this is all I did. It made the transcript, and then it made a 5-part Twitter thread about it. It made an outline of everything I was talking about. It created a LinkedIn post. It created a serious social media post, right? So this is something I want to post on, like, say, Facebook, and this is a little bit serious. It's not like funny. Here's a simple, profound version, and then this one, a TED Talk, a New York Times article, and then a funny, social, serious post. So I wanted to add in a little bit of comedic relief. And I haven't actually read through this to see if it did it, but oftentimes it'll throw in a little bit of like levity in what I'm writing.
Totally.
So the point is, like, theoasis.com is very inexpensive. Like, I don't know, like, I'm making this up, 10, $15 a month, right? But all you have to do if you run out of ideas for content, just come up with something, talk into your voice note app, and then let it do all the writing for you. So this is a tremendously powerful thing for people who are trying to create content, marketing, social media, etc. And it's it's just one of those really powerful tools.
That one's powerful, and it's also fun because the Oasis does like stuff where it makes you a song. It gives you some other ideas too, because it's just like this can get really humdrum. But I love that because it does songs, it does all sorts of random shit too, which is really fun.
Right. Exactly. Now there's another one over here. I just did a presentation. Can you see my screen that I just pulled in the Oxford quote?
Yeah, slide
So,
that in there,
but
Bradley.
So by now, some people have seen stuff like this, and I don't know how this is going to look over the internet. So because what you're about to see is I took a video of me speaking English just like this, and I uploaded it, and I translated it within about 5 minutes. Okay, and here I'm going to put the microphone by this. So if you're watching this on my screen, it is perfectly lip synced. Let's just see how this works. Let me turn my volume up.
Hola. Me llamo Brad Costanzo y no hablo español. Sé que parece que sí, pero en realidad uso IA para grabar este video en inglés y luego lo subo.
So, how did that look, Sammy, on your side? Did it look lip synced, or was it off a little bit?
It's a little off, but it looks like as it caught up, it looks fine. I mean, we get it. Like if you were to see this, we understand that is clearly Senior Brad crushing it.
Right.
That's
and
insane.
And here's how I created it.
Hi, my name is Brad Costanzo, and I don't speak Spanish. I know it looks like I do, but I'm actually using artificial intelligence.
So that's how I created it. And now, if you think about this as if you're a content creator, if you're working globally, you can now take your content and put it into all different types of languages, ads, content, sales videos, etc. And it's getting pretty darn good at doing this. So it's, as I said, it's super powerful. By the way, since I'm on this, I've got a couple other things I can show you. One of my other favorite tools is, if you want to consume like 30 hours of content in just about 30 minutes.
Yeah, I love
so
this. People
there
love this.
there is an app called chattube.io. So it's a Chrome extension. It's just a browser extension. It opens up in YouTube just like this. So it'll show up, and it doesn't work on mobile, but it'll work on a desktop. So you can learn anything on YouTube. The problem is I may come across a 1 hour long YouTube and I'm like, I don't have time to sit here and watch this whole thing. Can I just get to the point? So this was, I've got a podcast myself called Bacon Wrapped Business. And this was a guest that I had on there, which is these guys are stock option traders. And it's an hour-long podcast. Really good, by the way, if you like stock options. But when you have ChatTube installed, I just click this little summary button and it gives me a summary. And then I can talk to it the way I would talk to, let's say, ChatGPT or whatever. So what I say is give me an executive summary and then create a list of all the most important bullet points, and then create an explain it like I'm five summary for each bullet point, and then create a standard operating procedure for the entire process that a person could follow, and a summary at the very bottom of the benefits and results that are possible with it. That's a prompt for rapid learning. There's a million things you can learn out there, and this is a great way to do it. When I did this before, you can't read this, but it basically gives me an executive summary of the entire video, etc. So another way to use something like this, Sammy, is by thinking, like, let's say there's a topic you want to write about, and there's other people out there, experts in the market who've already written about it. Well, don't go to their writing, go to one of their videos, and then utilize a tool like ChatTube to say, I like what this person said, summarize this, and then rewrite it in a new format, make it original. But right, it's not plagiarizing, because you're just basically taking their concept that they talked about and you're telling it to write something similar, but in your own language. And to me, that's a very ethical way to just kind of create content. You don't have to come up with it brand new. There's no original ideas out there anyway.
So good. I do that all the time when I'm trying to kind of teach people how to make new content for their podcast. I'm like, well, go on, find me 10 different videos that you love, and then I'm going to teach you a tool to kind of create your own script from it. And that's kind of like what we do as well. And I think one of the things about that tool right there, as I think summarizing videos, it allows you to get to the meat of that juice, right? Get to the juice of the meat right there for sure.
the meat of the juice.
The meat of the juice. But I love the ELI5. Will ChatGPT, and ELI5 again is explain it like I'm five. Does ChatGPT understand like acronyms kind of like that, or whatever?
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's so crazy. I didn't know it did that yet. Okay.
Yep. I'm going to show you a couple other things. When it comes to rapid learning. Oh man.
Yeah, I think rapid learning is a great lane to stay in right now for today.
So if people are not doing this, they are missing out on something huge. So let me see if I can find this.
Oh, for you guys who are just asking, our company at the top is Accelerated Intelligence. That's Brad's consulting company that I worm myself into. Yes.
Yeah, it's our consulting company. See, we got Sammy right here. All right, let me see if I can find this for where the heck is it?
I also had somebody asking, how do you keep all your ChatGPT questions organized? Have you found a good system for that yet? Good question.
So like all my prompts?
Mm-hmm, all your prompts, yeah.
So I have started to keep a little prompt database inside
Notion.
Yep, I'm looking for it here. Hold on, let's just see.
I've tried so many different extensions and plugins, and they all seem really wonky right now. There isn't one that I've found that works. It always like crashes something or makes it wonky. I've just been doing the same thing. But yeah, let's see your Notion. Brad has a really sexy Notion, guys. I know that's a nerdy thing to say, but his Notion situation.
So now Notion is a great tool. It a free version. I use the paid one, but it's fine.
Oh, look at that.
This is just a list of things that, and it's not even that well built out. I'll be honest, I don't use these that often because I've gotten so good at just prompting on the fly that I don't have to. But I can say, okay, let's see, I want to do, a go-to-market strategy. I just open this up, and this is the prompt. What you're seeing is the prompt. This is big, right? But it's huge, but this is one that's hard to recreate from scratch, but it just says create a comprehensive go-to-market strategy, blah, blah, blah. And here's what I want: executive summary, product overview, market analysis, positioning, etc. This is a gnarly prompt.
That's a gnarly one. You did not find that one. You made that one, didn't you?
Yeah, I made it. I made most of these, but I sometimes I borrow and then I refine.
Sure.
But I'm looking at like create a lesson plan. Here's a more basic one, which just says, this creates a detailed lesson plan for topics and experience levels, etc. But I mean, the question in the beginning was, how do you keep track? It's like a database. Right? I just keep a little Notion table. So when what do I need to talk about? I want to respond to an email, right? Write an email response. Here's what it should be. I just copy this and drop it into ChatGPT and it works.
So cool.
So here's what I was talking about when we were we were talking about rapid learning. Okay. So if you are not using ChatGPT or Claude or whatever to just learn things, and I'm not talking about just teach me, but like really learn as if you're talking to a mentor. I was demonstrating this the other day to somebody. So by the way, what I love doing when I did this one, I was using my cell phone. And if you're using the ChatGPT app, you can click the little, it's like a little talk button.
Oh,
And
yeah.
like you're having a walkie-talkie conversation. So what you're seeing is you are seeing the transcript of what I
Okay.
talked about. Yeah. So I said, let's have a conversation about economics, in particular the effects of deflation. I want you to explain to me in terms I'll understand. And then it starts to talk to me, and I say, "Oh, wait, repeat what were you referring to?" And I was like, "Oh, I was referring to a general concept." I was like, "Okay, great. Well, has there ever been a specific time period where the U.S. has experienced deflation?" And it says, well, yes, the U.S. experienced deflation during several periods. And in fact, like in the 1930s, 1870s, 1890s. Would you like me to explore how deflation impacted the economy? I was like, well, yes, please do. So now it's like I'm sitting next to a really wise economist and I'm saying, well, tell me about this. Well, okay, well, how does this work? And then it was talking about the Great Depression. I was like, well, what was responsible for turning that around? I was like, oh, well, New Deal policies, monetary changes, et cetera, et cetera. And then I said, well, in respect to the coming out of the Great Depression, did any economists from the Austrian school, such as Mises or Hayek, discuss alternative ways? And it's like, well, yes, they did, in fact. And you can see I am having a collegiate level discussion, learning about economics. And look how long this is. I mean, it is so long. And I'm starting to ask nuance in this. So this is a tremendous way to utilize ChatGPT to learn something, and it's almost like rhetorically. Like people don't necessarily want to just read from books, but they want to ask a mentor.
Mm-hmm.
Use it as a mentor. Learn concepts you've never heard about. Maybe you want to learn about quantum physics or cognitive behavioral therapy or economics or Bitcoin or whatever. Learn about it.
So cool.
Like
and
that.
It's Scarlett Johansson. It almost sounds just like her that's chatting with you. So that's always a bonus.
Yeah, you can get it to say different things.
That's so cool.
And speaking of this, speaking of learning from mentors. So this is a demo. So I've got a client. The client is called the Prometheus Foundation, and their entire thing is helping to promote the objectivist philosophy of the author Ayn Rand. So Ayn Rand is the author who wrote the book Atlas Shrugged, etc. And so what I did is I built, because they have the permission to build this bot. So I built this Ayn Rand bot. So where if you want to learn about Atlas Shrugged, et cetera, like it's been trained on hundreds of thousands of her words and her teachings and her books. So I can say, I can ask these questions. Hey, tell me more about this. Explain the virtue of sacrifice. So it not only comes up with the answer, but it comes up with, the resources used. Well, it used this PDF. It used these like 4 PDFs and more in order to create that answer. And I can sit here and have a conversation with her. Speaking of conversations, I don't know if it'll work while I'm sharing screen. If I click this little button here. Okay, yeah, it won't show up because I'm using the microphone on this live. But normally I could click here and I could talk to her and she's going to talk to me in her voice. So it clones her voice. So you can have conversations with leading experts. And if you are an expert, you can build a voice clone and a knowledge database of yourself. We've been doing this for various clients. By the way, if there's anybody out there who's interested in having their own voice clone. So for instance, like if you have your own online course or coaching program and you do not upload it into something like this as a companion for your classes, you're going to be a dinosaur, because all of your paid stuff should have a companion. Because I don't want to necessarily go back to, Sammy's module number 4, class 3,
totally.
go to and look for, where was it you said that? So we're building this for a lot of people to take their expertise and put it into a useful chat bot. And this, by the way, can be worth as much as the whole course itself.
That's so sick. So sick.
Right?
Yep. Okay. Our people's brains are melting. They're like, what? How did you do this? Oh my God, so many questions. What? How? Yeah, the Notion table. Carolyn Lehman's like, how that Notion table is Totally amazing. So cool. Brad,
That's great.
I think we got some great people in here that just had some questions. Thank you for sharing the Notion shit and the Oasis.
Yeah.
People love it. I don't know. We might
Did
do
we have
this
questions?
again because, yeah, the main one was just like there's some basic ones. How did you do the hotkeys? What did you do? Like, do you have
Oh,
a free giveaway on the hotkeys? How you built those templates? What did you do
yeah.
to make such a? It says, how did you create a hotkey for Claude where you just hit a couple keys and it inputted that one prompt? Good question. I mean,
I will.
that is a super ninja hack, guys.
Okay, I will show you. So I'm on Mac, and this probably is available for both. I'm going to share my screen. I use a program called Text Expander. Okay, so Text Expander. There's other things you can do with this, but if I go to Text Expander, tell me when you can see my window.
Gotcha.
Cool. So I got a whole bunch of snippets here. So I can just create a new snippet that says Sammy is awesome. I may give it the same label, right? And then I'm going to give it abbreviation, and I can do whatever like things I want. I like to start off with like a colon because you never start off a sentence with a colon, and I just type in Sammy, right? Or actually, let me type in. Let me do this. Sammy at Accelerated Intelligence AI, right? The bad part about that name is it's hard to type and spell, so I don't want to have to type it out every time. So this is all I did is I just typed in this is what I wanted to do, and then I gave it an abbreviation. So now if I go over to something like this, I don't know if they can see in my URL bar, but I just type in :Sammy. Whoops.
Like my
Sammy.
colon. Do you guys like my colon?
Yeah, and it automatically does that. So I have a number of things in AI. If I go to my AI prompts, so you'll see my style guide, and I've written this entire style guide prompt in here. So all I have to do is type :style, and it does that for me.
Cool.
So
Yeah, they're like,
yeah,
oh
and
my god, that's so smart. I know.
yeah. So I don't use this for a ton, but anytime I come up with a prompt that I want to use more than once, I just make a short key out of it, and boom. There. Yeah. By the way, I do have. We didn't set up an opt-in page or anything like that for this. We kind of just went live and said, "Hey, let's share some cool stuff." But if you I don't know if they can send me a DM. If you guys send me an email, Brad at acceleratedintelligence.ai. Make sure you spell it right. Acceleratedintelligence.ai, not .com, but Brad at accelerate, and then just tell me you saw me with Sammy, and I'll forward you some of this stuff. So just shoot an email over.
Yeah, Carolyn, if you want some of those ideas, I think I see you in there. I see you there, Lisa, in there. Awesome. There's a few people that were like, "How the fudged sickles and did you do that?" Yeah, it's so good.
Well, this is what we do, right? Like, it's people pay us to not only keep abreast of what's going on, but which is hard to do because it's changing so quickly, but to create these more efficient workflows for people. I mean, ultimately, and even for me, to be honest, like the goal is not to use this to do that much more. To me, the goal is to use these things so I can do less, so I can spend more time being human and let the robots be robotic. Right? I want the artificial intelligence to do all the stuff I don't want to do. I want to work on creation, strategy, and ideation, and then helping others learn this stuff. I want AI to do all the rest of the stuff. I'm not trying to do this so I can work more. And I think that's where most people should focus is how can you get your life back using these tools? What would that be worth? Doubling your income that's easy. I mean, not just with AI, but with all the other strategies that we help people do. But how do you get your life back? Because time is priceless.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's the best. It's the only currency we don't get back. So let's end on that, guys. That's the only currency you get back. I think you just nailed it, my friend. Like, if you're not using this to get your life back and not feel overwhelmed, I think that's what happened to me. I felt so overwhelmed. I had to learn so many new things. And I think we all fall into this, but it is now the time to really get your life back. Brad, thank you so much for being here. This is good. I think we should do this again. We got a lot of people asking some questions. what platform are we streaming on that you're pulling things up. That's called Ecamm. Ecamm is a really cool platform that I use a lot when I'm presenting and even making podcasts. It streams this video when we're done will stream straight to an editing software where we can make 20 or 30 clips out of it in like 5 seconds, which is really fun for content creation. Brad is at brad@acceleratedintelligence.ai, or you can hit me at Sammy at the same site. But yeah, that is what we do literally every other day. So it's super fun. Every day. All right, buddy. I'll see you. I'm going to come up for some tacos a little bit later, and then let's get together on this weekend for sure.
I think you owe me a steak.
Yeah, dude. It was just your 25th birthday, bro. Let's do it.
Second anniversary of it.
Second anniversary. Hey guys, thanks for the amazing questions, and then maybe we'll do this every Friday. Maybe at 9:45, we'll just drop some nuggets in here. If you guys like that, let me know. Drop a bomb in that comment section, and we'll come back to you guys on Friday with some more tips from the Accelerated Intelligence Lab. Alrighty, peace.